She's scream crying to the phone. She's driving herself to the ER. She just said, I'm going to the hospital. Well, I had just left work and I was picking my son up, and in my head, I did crisis for a living. I was in and out of hospitals all the time with people. And so I was like, if she's driving, I got to get Hank and then I'll go over there. So I just bebop in the door with my son. He was maybe 4 at the time. We walk in and there's I call them crazy eyes. You show up to a scene, there could be dead bodies, there could be body, like guts and whatever. But there's a sense, you look at the other people in the room and you know the scene's, it's over, it's safe, right? We got to do the healing part of this stuff and the cleanup part of this. But there's occasionally you show up to a scene and there's other EMS person's got crazy eyes. And that just mean like this scene's still alive. There's still an active shooter here. There's still something going on. And I saw the head of OBGYN holding an oversized wheelchair, and my wife was slumped over the side of it. And she was running down the hall. And I remember grabbing my son's hand and I was like, oh, that's the last time I see my wife. Like, this is it. I knew that look, and there's a very special look. And I was like, oh, this is the last time I see my wife. And they ran her down the hall, and I texted somebody to come get my son, and somebody did. And so I don't even remember. I can't tell you who I texted, but somebody must have texted somebody. A buddy of mine who was a 6'4" rancher, wore a hat around. He was a middle school writing teacher, but he also was a children's author. He did several different things, but he had a big ranch, and he was he had suffered one of the most unimaginable losses you could imagine. He showed up. And he walks into this little room that's about this size. He walked in, big, tall guy, and I had my head down. I was just sitting there by myself. And I looked up at him, and I just nodded, and he just literally nodded, like like you would imagine a Western. And he sat down right next to me, and we said no words. And it was 30 minutes, and an hour, and an hour and a half. And at some point between hour 1 and hour 2, the doctor comes in. She's holding an iPad, and I'll never forget, she said, and I'm sitting just like this, just like this, just sitting there. And she walks in and says, we lost the baby, but your wife's going to be okay. And he reaches over and grabs my shoe, and which is an overly affectionate thing. And I look at him, and he's crying tears that I didn't even have yet. And that's when I was like, oh, that's what that means. And they say, Jesus is always with you. That's what that means, and your faith is always with you. It's in this other person. There was no words to say.